Hello, everybody. At the beginning, let me first welcome all of you to this educational program, which is going to be based on Overview textbook series. Our lesson today is intended for grade 12. It will be about set book questions. Before the break, I'd like you to get ready, so prepare your books and your copybooks. I'll see you after the break. Dear students, welcome back to our program. As I have already said, my lesson today is about, as you can see here, set book questions. In this lesson, we are going to deal with two very important things. The first one, we are going to talk about Module 3, Lifestyles, Unit 8, Town and Country. We talk about some of the characteristics of cities, their advantages, their disadvantages, and we'll talk a little bit about villages or countries, their characteristics, their advantages, and their disadvantages. After that, we'll move to literature time. I'm going to deal with episode 2 from our novel, Great Expectations, written by Charles Dickens. Your questions will be of general nature, as you have seen or as you have heard from your teachers in class. We will have then set book topics and literature time. Your answer should be given in meaningful sentences. There are some tips that I'd like to give you in order to excel at this kind of tasks. First of all, when you start your questions, try to read all the questions carefully. Then, decide on the most manageable questions. Choose the most manageable, which means the easiest question. Then, try to be resourceful, which means you can get from your textbook and you can bring pieces of information outside your textbook, from your knowledge. Then, try to provide meaningful sentences. No chunks are acceptable, or fragments. Mind your handwriting and spelling. Try to check your spelling as soon as you finish your answer. Try to proofread your answers before you submit your paper. Let's start by over to you today, which is about Unit 8. The first question is, explain the phenomenon of rural depopulation and its causes. Okay? The phenomenon here means something that happens or exists in a society or science or nature, especially something that is studied because it is difficult to understand. And depopulation, as we know here, a great decrease in the number of people living in a particular area. Now, I'd like you to focus here. Explain the phenomenon of rural depopulation and its causes can be replaced by another question, trying to paraphrase it, but they will have the same answer. For example, the same question is, why do some people leave their homes in the countryside to live in cities? One of the causes is that because some people have their homes in the countryside to leave their homes in the countryside to live in cities to look for better living conditions, or to get well-paid jobs, or maybe because of the bad living conditions in the countryside, or because of the lack of amenities and proper services. We notice here that there are pulling causes, okay, causes that pull people who live in villages to move to the cities, and there are pushing causes, okay, which are related to conditions they lead in their villages. So we have here 4 different answers. Your task now is to try to connect these pieces of information into a very small paragraph consisting of at least 2 or 3 sentences. And don't forget here to use linkers or cohesive devices in order to create a kind of cohesion in your short paragraph. So if we try to connect them, we can add, of course, some extra information related to living conditions in the country, which is poverty and unemployment, and your answer should look like this. This is just a suggestion. Some people leave their homes in the countryside to live in cities to look for better living conditions. In fact, they believe that their chances to get well-paid jobs are much higher in cities. Some others leave because of the bad living conditions, including poverty and unemployment in the countryside, as well as the lack of amenities and proper services. It's a very simple task. All you have to do is to connect or to collect your pieces of information, put them in very simple, manageable sentences, and link them with cohesive devices or linkers, such as in fact, as well as first, second, third, finally. Moreover, furthermore, there are a lot of linkers that you can use or resort to in order to make a cohesive paragraph. Let's move now to another question. What are the disadvantages of rural depopulation? We have agreed upon that depopulation means lack of people in a certain area. Your answer could be cities become overcrowded, polluted, and unsafe. Rural areas become deserted with unprofitable estates. Land farms turn into wastelands as there are no young farmers to cultivate them. Of course, if young people move, you will not find youths to work on farms. Rural depopulation has many disadvantages. This can be your topic sentence in your short paragraph. First, this is the first linker. Cities become overcrowded, polluted, and unsafe. Then we bring another linker. Second, they become deserted with unprofitable estates. And we finish with number 3. Third, and farms turn into wastelands as there are no young farmers to cultivate them. Now let's move to question number 3. Why do many people in Europe move from the city to the countryside? Your answers may include the following. Many people in Europe move from the city to the countryside to escape from overcrowding, to escape pollution and tension of city life, to seek relaxation, to seek refreshment, and to seek healthy environment in the countryside. Now your task here is to try to connect these findings into a small, manageable sentence with some linkers in order to guarantee the cohesion of the paragraph. Many people in Europe move from the city to the countryside for a certain number of reasons. This is your topic sentence. First, they want to escape from overcrowding, pollution, and tension of city life. Second, they seek relaxation, refreshment, and healthy environment in the countryside. So as you can notice here, we have 3 sentences, a topic sentence, and 2 supporting details. Now let's move question number 4. What are the qualities of a good house? Now some of the good qualities of a good house are the following. A good house should be healthy, spacious, calm, and expansive. A good house also should have a large garden. And a good house should be located near amenities. These are my findings. Now your role is to make a paragraph. A good house should be healthy, spacious, calm, and expansive. Moreover, it should have a large garden. Furthermore, it should be located near amenities. Okay? Now, what's the meaning of amenities? Here, something that makes a place comfortable or easy to live in. For example, some of the amenities is having a supermarket. Okay? A good quality of a house to be near a supermarket to do your shopping. And it should be near, for example, a post office. It should be near a police station. Number 5. What type of houses do you recommend for an elderly couple and why? Okay, so old people need a very specific kind of houses and why? For an elderly couple, I would recommend a small house in the countryside, not in the city. Why? Because the city is very crowded and very noisy, and they can't bear such kind of problems. Why? They can live peacefully away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Okay? Now, my answer is like this. We have to connect the two sentences. For an elderly couple, I would recommend a small house in the countryside where they can live peacefully away from the hustle and bustle of the city. And here I have used a relative pronoun in order to make a complex sentence containing an independent clause with dependent clause. Let's move now to question number 6. What things should be put into consideration if you want to choose a place to live in? A lot of things are needed. For example, the area should be green with a lot of trees and plants. The area should be calm. There should be a residence parking, which is extremely important in cities. If we want to connect these pieces of information, green, calm, and a residence parking, so the area where I want to live in should be green and calm. It also should contain a residence parking. So we have noticed that I have connected these pieces of information by using very simple linkers, which are and also to make a cohesive paragraph containing 2 or 3 sentences. This is what you are required to do in your exams. Don't give chunks, don't give fragments in your answers. Number 7, it said, if you would be known and not know, vegetate in a village. If you would know and not be known, live in a city. You have to explain, okay, this proverb or this saying. You have this in your books. This means that. It means that if you want to be known among people, to be famous, to be known by people, it's better to live in a village. Why? Because it doesn't have a lot of people. All people know each other. So, all the village inhabitants or people know each other. Whereas, so the answer is, it means that if you want to be known among people, it's better to live in a village. Why? Because it doesn't have a lot of people. All those who live in the village know each other. So all the village inhabitants or people know each other. Whereas, if you want to live to learn more about life, you can live in a city because it has different types of knowledge, but you can't be known, as the number of people who live in the city is large. Number 8, where and why is Silk City going to be established? The answer is, Silk City is going to be established in Kuwait. Why? It is aimed at making Kuwait a commercial hub. It will provide residential areas and comfort for each people or its inhabitants. And if you want to combine all these pieces of information, your paragraph will look like this. Silk City is going to be established in Kuwait. In fact, it is aimed at making Kuwait a commercial hub. It will provide residential areas and comfort for its inhabitants as well. And here I have used in fact and as well to combine the sentences together. Number 9, Burj Mubarak al-Kabir, the crown jewel of Silk City, will be exceptional. Why? Why will it be exceptional? Your answer may include the following information or pieces of information. It will stand at 1,001 meters. That's why it is exceptional. It will be a 200-story construction, which means building. It will overcome the constraints, which means the problem of limited land, because Kuwait is very small at the level of the surface, as it will house the equivalent of 7 vertical villages. It will dominate the skyline. So if you want to combine these pieces of information, you will come out with this result. Burj Mubarak al-Kabir, the crown jewel of Silk City, will be exceptional. This tower, which will stand at 1,001 meters and 200 story high, will house the equivalent of 7 vertical villages. In addition, it will dominate the skyline. So you have noticed that I have used all the pieces of information together in a very simple way to convey a certain meaning. Now let's move now to Great Expectations, written by Charles Dickens. Let me start by summarizing episode number 1. The novel starts with a 6-year-old boy named Pip lived on the English marshes with his sister, Mrs. Joseph Gargery, and his sister's husband, Joseph Gargery. His sister was mean, and his brother-in-law was the best thing that's happened to Pip, which means his brother-in-law was a friend to him. Pip was in the graveyard visiting his dead parents and siblings, which means his brother and sisters, when he met a fearful man named Magwitch. The man asked Pip to bring him a metal file and some food. Pip was frightened and promised to bring the file and the food. Pip went home to find his elder sister, Mrs. Jew. She was a tough and an unpleasant woman, while her husband Jew was a kind-hearted blacksmith. Pip went to the kitchen and stole some bread, a hard piece of cheese, and a round meat pie. Then he went quickly to the marshes, but he found another man, Campensen, dressed in the same rough clothes. Then appeared the right man. Pip gave him the food and the file. He left him filing at his iron and went home. At home, Mrs. Jew was preparing dinner. Mr. Wobblesel, a village clerk, was having dinner with them with Pumblechook, their uncle. Pip felt that his theft was about to be discovered, so he ran away. At the front door, he met some soldiers. He thought they were there for him. The surgeon told him that he was chasing convicts. That means prisoners who have escaped from the prison. And they wanted the blacksmith to examine the handcuffs. Then Jew and Pip went down with the soldiers, and then all of a sudden they heard long shouts. They were the 2 men Pip met on the marshes. The surgeon handcuffed them both. Magwitch said that he had stolen from the blacksmith's house some bits of food, a pie, and a file. Then he was placed into a boat and rowed away to the prison ship. Now let's move to episode number 2 to have some questions. How can some social norms hinder communication among people? And I mean here by social norms the way of clothing, the way you clothe yourself, maybe the educational levels, some are educated and some others are not, maybe the financial situation, some people are poor, others are rich, the jobs, okay? Some people have manual jobs and others, for example, are businessmen. Your answers should look like this. Social norms can hinder communication, which means can cause a problem for communication between people by creating divisions among them. In fact, they are at the very center of the creation of many social classes. Notice here the use of the word fact, in fact, in order to combine the 2 sentences. Number 2, should wealth be used as a weapon in the hands of the rich to dominate the poor? If you agree, why? If you don't agree, why not? This is the answer. Wealth may be wrongly used by some wealthy people to dominate others and impose on them their wills. But I think that it shouldn't be used as a means of power because it is a means used to facilitate the exchange of benefits and goods among people, whether they are rich or poor. Notice here the use of but in order to combine the sentences. Number 3, Do you think money is the only means to achieve happiness? If you agree, you have to say why. If you don't agree, you have to justify. Many people consider money as a source of happiness. This could be a very good topic sentence. They think that being happy means being able to possess anything. So, in fact, happiness can be achieved in a combination of factors, including psychological relaxation and peace of mind, good social relationships, family stability, and a good financial situation. So it's clear that money is not anything a person needs in order to lead a very happy life. He needs a family, he needs a friend, he needs a state of a calm mind, psychological relaxation, and a good financial situation is not bad too. Number 4, why shouldn't a person be ashamed of his manual work? Okay, we know that a lot of people, maybe they are not educated, they resort to work or they resort to manual works. Okay? Why shouldn't a person be ashamed of his manual work? Any decent job should be a source of satisfaction and pride of anybody. And decent here means respectful. Just like any other jobs, manual work is valuable, necessary, and worthy of respect. So we have to respect all jobs whatsoever. Thus, which means so, which means as a result, a person whose job is manual should not be ashamed of it or consider himself inferior in his society. Okay? This is his lack. This is what he has come out of his life. Now, as I have already said, while you deal with set book questions, you have to read your questions carefully. You have to decide on the easiest questions. Don't leave unanswered questions. Read the questions carefully. You can give more than one answer. Okay, you are required to give more than one answer. Your answers should not be stick only to the textbook. You can bring, as I have already said, you have to be resourceful. You can bring information from outside the book. Give your answers, and then you have to collect your answers in a paragraph. Please don't give chunks. Don't give fragments, because you will lose a lot of marks. As your teachers have already said, you have to collect the sentences and connect the sentences together to have a very simple paragraph, a very cohesive paragraph, using linkers in this paragraph, or what you call in English cohesive devices, in order to guarantee a kind of link between the sentences. At this point, our lesson has come to an end. I hope that you have enjoyed my lesson today. I hope that I see you again. I wish you good luck in your future endeavor, and thank you for watching.